How tonight will work is I'm just going to do a recap of the video information that I shared out on Friday. Then I will answer all of the questions that I received via email from Friday until just 5 minutes ago. I kept refreshing, just checking. And then I'll take any new questions from anybody in the audience. Okay, so Caruso is planning on opening full day on March 18th at the elementary level, which is the beginning of our third trimester. There are 3 things that we took into account from the first day of school when tracking our data into making this decision. So I don't want anybody to think that it was a rushed decision or a last-minute decision. We have been tracking it since the first day of school. So we have had very low numbers as far as positive COVID cases. Our number is 14 between staff and students from the first day of school back on September 1st, which is a very low number considering our population. We also have the best staff around who come to work every day, and there are many districts who don't have that. They have people that are, teaching from home with a substitute within the classroom, on camera, and that is not our situation here. We have in-person live teachers every single day. And we also have the beauty of being in a new building with large spaces like the cafeteria, like large classrooms, a recess yard, and a gym. So those are the 3 things that we've looked at in trying to get ready to reopen. On top of that, we do have a pretty big issue with remote attendance. So we're just trying to combat all of this and providing the best education possible for all students, and this is our plan going forward. Okay, adding 2 hours to our day for in-person students will add lunch, recess, and another hour of instruction. There will be 6 lunch periods, and I will address some of your lunch questions after this, but the 6 lunch periods are broken apart. We can safely fit 96 students at a time in this cafeteria. That leaves 6 feet all around, and actually in front and in back it's a little over 6 feet. So it is very safe as far as space and following all the guidelines. That being said, we do have to have an early lunch. The first lunch will be at 9:45, and our last lunch will be at 1 o'clock. So when we had our staff meeting the other day, I said that to staff as well, like, don't get mad, because some of you will have an early lunch and some will have a late lunch. But we did try to break that up. If you had an early lunch, that you had a later special or a later recess, and vice versa. Okay? As far as lunch, students who are opting to take lunch from school will have to choose between a hot and a cold lunch in the morning. We will do a pre-order with a phone call to Mascios or a Google Doc to Mascios, and your child will get to pick. When they enter the cafeteria, they do not have to wait on a lunch line at all. We will not have any crowding. Lunch will be delivered right to your student's table. To answer a question, yes, your student may bring their own lunch. We would never take that option away. If your child does not fancy school lunch, you can absolutely send lunch with them. Specials will remain the same for in-person students. The only special that they will leave their classroom for is gym. Every other special will still take place in their classroom. That will alleviate all of the traveling and the crowds in the hallways. What else? As far as in-person dismissal will also remain the same. We will still stagger it. We will not be combining siblings the way that we have in past years. We are still keeping to our 6 exits and our staggered time, with the younger students coming out first. For remote students, and I know that this is where I think some of the disagreements have come in. So remote still remains an option for your child for the rest of the school year. It will have to change since our in-person day is changing. There will be an increase in time. So where it was an hour and a half in-person instruction or virtual instruction with then some work to work on after, it will be 2 hours. Our sessions will be 9 to 11 or 11:30 to 1:30. Those are your 2 sessions. We can't choose either. So we're going to group those students who are choosing remote by the best of their abilities to make a pretty cohesive class. And it'll be 9 to 11 or 11:30 to 1:30. In a regular general education setting with some in-class support students, your classes, your virtual classes could run from 20 to 25 students. Okay, so that is a large increase from 4 or 5 of what you may have seen before. but it is also very comparable to what all the other districts are doing at this point too. So it's not very far off. Current responses. So as of Friday when I did the video, there was 415 responses. 70% were for full day instruction in person, 8% were for half day instruction in person, and 22% were for virtual instruction. Today, at about 5 to 6, we have 479 responses. We're still far off from 712 students, but 479 responses, and very similar. 70% are for full day in-person instruction, 9% are for half day instruction in person, and 21% for virtual. Now, as I said on Friday, going ahead with this model does take away the half day in-person option. So those students or those families who have opted for half day in person will have to make a choice, either being here all day or being virtual. We will be reaching out to you once this survey closes. This survey will not close this Thursday. It will remain open until February 25th. That will be our deadline, because we do need to prepare within those 3 weeks before March 18th in getting as many students back as we hope. If you change your mind, or you changed your mind, which people already have, not a problem. You can fill it out again, or you can just leave a voicemail or email me and we'll just change. So I have gotten about 5 or 6 of those over the weekend. So that's a recap from Friday. Questions that I've gotten over the weekend from parents that I will be addressing. So mask wearing seems to be a concern. Now, if your children are home right now, they're not wearing a mask. So obviously, when it's time to put on a mask, they may have an issue with it. I promise you, mask wearing in the building is not an issue. From kindergarten to 5th grade, we have never had to send a student home for not wearing their mask properly. So practice if your intention is to send your child back, but I don't want your fear of your child wearing a mask to be your only decision-making criteria. I have gotten a couple of questions about special programs, specifically our self-contained classes. So your Zoom classes will be smaller. There won't be 25 students on your Zoom class. Your therapies will continue. So if your child received OT or PT or speech, just because they're working in person full day doesn't mean that your child won't get their service. You may get a different time, but your services will absolutely continue. Unfortunately, a new teacher has to happen as well. So I know a few concerns with that. These students have a hard time with a change in routine or a change in people. Again, don't sell them short. They adjust much better than we do as adults, but a new teacher has to happen. Okay, it's the same thing as if you had a teacher who went on maternity leave in March or April, you would have another teacher. So we have to kind of look at it that way. As far as lunch, I think I addressed all of these, but I'll just be sure. Students can bring lunch from home. Of course, the cafeteria is wiped down in between lunches. That's always the case. That's not new to us. And we have 6 periods that can fit up to 96 students per period. To answer another question, there will be 4 lunch monitors in the cafeteria. We don't need a lot of bodies because students won't be getting up. A lot of our issues in the past have always been on the lunch line. So without that, students will come in, they'll sit, their lunch will be delivered to their table, they'll eat, they'll throw their garbage out on the way out, sanitize their hands, and go right upon their day. So the 4 of us in the cafeteria are more than enough. We will still be staggering dismissal starting at 2:10. The other food issue was snack. So snack was asked by a few people. Snack will be left up to the individual teacher within the classroom. It depends on the age of your child and the schedule that they have. Don't forget, they are here for 4 hours right now without eating anything, and they are completely fine. Okay, so we will make sure that our youngest ones have the most spread out schedule, but we do have to leave that decision up to the teachers since it would be in their classroom. The last question that I received was about recess. So we're still working out some details with recess, but our plan is to have 3 classes at a time outside. It'll be taped off so that classes can't mix. The younger classes will have the opportunity to use the playground, but it'll be on a rotating basis. Okay, so if Mrs. Cordiano's class is outside with 2 other kindergarten classes, every 3rd day she will be able to use the playground area. Other than that, it's the open areas. Okay, There are plenty of areas for mask breaks. If you walked around town when it's been nice out, you see them walking around the block as well. So, you know, there's always that. That is all the questions that I've gotten. I was hoping to see some people here in this audience that would have a lot of questions for us, because it is a big decision to make, but it's important that we move forward as a district to try and get these kids back in school. That has been our goal since day one. We have never kept that a secret. I have kids too, and they belong in school. Although you have your choice, and I completely understand your choice, you have to make some accommodations on all ends. Okay? Not everybody's going to be happy, we understand, but promise you that your children will get what they need, considering all of this craziness that is going on. So, anybody in the audience have any questions?
Just a reminder that the link is going to go live on the website again, because there might have been a little bit of a lag between a YouTube live stream and the link on our school website, so some people might have missed the first 5 minutes or so.
So I just have to remind everybody that this will go on after we're all done. It will go on the district website for you to view in case you miss it. It's also really, really important to know this will be open until February 25th. If you do not respond with your preference by February 25th, we have to assign you to the model that you're currently in. So if you are a half-day in-person student right now, and we don't receive anything from you, your child will be assigned to a full-day in-person day. Okay? If you are currently remote, and we don't receive any correspondence, your child will remain remote. Okay? So we really, really do need a response from every single family for every single child in that family. There are 712 of you. We have 479. And I saw a few people from Boulder that really want to come here full day too. So we took them off. But we really do need a response. And I know a lot of people might have been waiting for today, or still might have questions for us between now and then, and we'll answer them. But we really do need participation.
We did turn on comments just because of the delay of the 5 minutes, but there
We
haven't
did
been
turn
any
on
since.
comments. Okay, so I'll wait in case there's a comment or two.
But there haven't been any since, so if you want to email yourself or me.
Okay. Oh, we have a question? Thank you, Mr. Kitchen. We have to go by the mic, yes.
So the virtual classrooms, they're going to be around 25 students per class, you said, right?
They can go up to 25. That would be the maximum amount that we would allow.
So for special needs students that need extra instruction or extra teachers in the classroom, what's going to happen if they stay virtual?
So as we do now, we have some students who do their hour and a half and then receive an extra half hour. That still will happen for those students that have been identified as needing extra support. So you would get your 2 hours and then an additional half an hour.
Okay, great, thank
So it
you.
is an increase from an hour and a half to 2.5 in some cases.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. No other questions? Any comments on our stream?
No more comments or no additional.
No more comments. Okay. No? Okay, so I guess that concludes our parent info session for tonight. If you have questions, please reach out. I've heard from a few parents over the weekend and I responded immediately. Some of your questions were addressed in an email if they were specific to your child, and then some just tonight. We are here, always willing to tell you exactly what's going on, no secrets, and help you make the right decision for the rest of this year. So with that, no more comments. Have a good evening. Thank you.